Hi, I'm Jen Lyman, and welcome to the Home Automation and Adaptive Gaming panel for the Community Forum of the 75th Anniversary Annual Meeting of the American Academy for Cerebral Palsy and Developmental Medicine. For today's panel, we have three great presenters: Stephanie Vasquez-Gabella, who is a rehab engineer from University of Pittsburgh and the Center for Assistive Technology. She's the clinical research coordinator there, and she gives a great presentation explaining the ins and outs of all things home automation. We have Steve Spahn from Able Gamers, a charity that does great things getting people involved and engaged with gaming. He gives an overview of Able Gamers and the nonprofit's efforts, not just to enable individuals with disabilities to become gamers, but changing the way that games are being developed to make them accessible for everyone. And then finally, we have Bradley Heaven. He is the co-founder of All Access Life, and he's going to demonstrate for us today how he utilizes adaptive controls, games, eye gaze, assistive technology to live his life to the fullest, and also how he gives back to the community. So thank you, and I hope you all enjoy this panel.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Jen, for inviting us today. Some weeks ago, when we got invited to do this presentation, I was actually really excited because even though home automation was not specifically designed for people with disabilities, it has been incredibly resourceful to help to increase independence, quality of life, and reduce the reliance on other people to do some operations at home. Home automation is not a replacement for care that may be needed by an individual. However, it can supplement the care or the tools already in use. It provides different and more options to interact with our environment. It's still practical, but it can be overwhelming when we find so many options and we don't know how to start with this technology. My name is Stephanie Vasquez, and I am the Clinical Research Coordinator. I work at the University of Pittsburgh and also at UPMC Center for Assistive Technology. And today, we are going to learn how can we interact with our devices at home, what can we control, what do we need to consider when we choose devices for our home, and what do we need to set up. Okay, so let's jump right into how can we control. So yes, when we talk about assistive technology, we think about alternative ways to access devices. It can be a switch, maybe we are using switch scan, a remote, or through a computer, a smartphone, or a tablet. Maybe we're using our hands, our fingers, or maybe we are controlling them through our wheelchair joystick, or even with our eyes, head, or chin. I have separated voice as another option to control devices, as we will be considering smart speakers such as Alexa, Google Home, Apple HomeKit, among others today. So this leads us into what can we control. I have categorized here devices based on their function. So we have basic function and multifunction devices. So when we think about basic functions, we're wanting to talk about on and off, open or close, basically yes or no. However, when we think about multifunction, that's when we have that broad range of options. So on and off, open, close, volume up, volume down, change channels, make calls, and many other options out there. So let's first start with basic functions. So just to illustrate some examples here, one of the basic functions would be for an adaptive toy with a switch. What this one's gonna do is every time we hit that switch, we're gonna see that toy reacting. So while our puppy is shaking, we understand that reaction that we generated by activating the switch. We hit the switch again and it will immediately stop. So this is one of the first steps, or how we would introduce children especially to learn how to interact with our environment. So very basic, on and off. Now, there's another mid-range, I would say it's the power link. So the power link, it's very easy to set up. It does provide switch accessible control and has 6 different modes of control. Here you can use any appliance, you can just connect that to the outlet, and you can use either wired switches or compatible wireless switches to, again, turn the devices on and off. You can use latitude, you can use times, and you can also count the times you're turning on and off each device. Okay, so now let's move into multifunction devices. So these are the time when we're talking about lights, TVs, door openers, thermostats, and others. And we have many operations we can do. So that is why I am introducing home automation as the automatic or remote control of electronic devices within our home. So before I continue to explain a little bit about these devices, I want to mention that these devices I'm showing you here will all need an app on your smartphone or tablet to set up. I will go over in general terms about how to set them up later, but for now, let's talk about the devices. So we're going to start with the smart door opener, which allows us to lock and unlock doors without using a key. Instead, we will use an app on our phone, or you can also use your voice. We can also use the regular keys, of course, and depending on the model, you can even use your fingerprint. We can even set timers to lock and unlock doors, and we don't need to be in the same location to lock the doors. Okay, so another device that we can use at the entry of our home is the Ring doorbell. This device has an HD camera and a two-way audio system, so you can see and speak to the person that comes to your door. You will receive notifications to your phone or tablet whenever there is someone at the entrance or your porch. So especially for people who have difficulties opening the door by themselves, these devices can be very useful and also even provide safety, as you can use the Ring doorbell to see who is at the door, and then you can decide whether or not you open or not the door using the smart door opener. Okay, so now one of the very common devices in home automation are smart light bulbs. Smart light bulbs can be turned on and off, change the color, and also dim the light by our voice command. So when we have some sensory issues, maybe the lighting is too difficult for us when it's too bright, we can also adjust this with the smart light bulbs. Another thing that you can also do as a matter of saving money also, or to make sure that everyone knows about the night routine, you can set a routine for 11 p.m. where all the lights are going to be turned off. So as an example, we're going to create a routine from Monday through Friday where all lights are going to be off at night. Now, another example that I have here is a smart button. So these are actually physical buttons that you can activate one or multiple devices or even a sequence of devices with a single push. So the benefit of having a physical button like this can be for people who may not be verbal and can still want to activate one or more devices at the same time. So, for example, we can create a routine that when we push that button, we will turn on the lights, we will play a song on our smart speaker, and then tell us some reminders for today's weather. We can do all of this by just pressing a single button, and we will also be able to place that button on a convenient location. So that can be our wheelchair tray, or we can move it around the house and execute commands wherever we are in our home. Now, I want to show you another very important device, and that is the smart plug. So basically, you can make any appliance, quote unquote, smart by just connecting it to this plug. This plug again will also need that app, and you can monitor and also turn the device on and off through your app or with a voice command. The next one that I have here is a smart thermostat, which can help us to automatically adjust heating and cooling settings in our home, whether we are inside or outside our home. You can still adjust that temperature. You can program temperatures based on schedules. And also, if you add motion sensors, you can also reduce the amount of money you're spending on heating by only including that when someone is moving within your home. Now you can see here the Fire TV stick. And even though we have a lot of options for smart TVs, I want to talk about the Fire Stick, as it can be one of the more affordable ways to turn a regular TV into a smart TV. First, as the smart TV is an Amazon product, you will find that it can be controlled with your voice if you're using the Alexa app or the smart speaker. Some models even have that microphone option on the remote control itself. And once you have the Fire Stick on your TV, you can install lots of streaming services, including your cable box services as well. And you can still use your voice to move around the screen, so you don't necessarily need to always have that availability to control the remote. So for instance, another cool thing that you can do with home automation and your Fire Stick is, I'm going to share a little bit how I do my wake up routine. So right now, I don't have an Echo device or Alexa in my apartment, but because I have the Fire Stick, and I had to install the Alexa app for setup. So what I did is I created a routine that every morning at 6 a.m., the TV would turn on, go to the radio station app, and play a salsa station. So I would wake up every morning at 6 a.m. with a happy dance in the morning, and it would be a happy day. So these are some of the things that you can do, even though you don't have that specifically the device. But if you have compatible devices, then you can start working with it. Okay, now finally, for housekeeping, you know, housekeeping can always take time. It can be also a lot of effort demand. And I added here a robot vacuum cleaner as an example. So this vacuum cleaner can be started and operated from any location, and you can even make it clean on a schedule. So the other advantage that this vacuum cleaner has is that it will scan wherever it is. So it doesn't necessarily have to follow a preset path. Okay, so if you're walking around or your kid is running into the living room, the vacuum cleaner is gonna stop and just change the direction. It will also not fall. If you have stairs there, it will also realize it is a moment for them to turn around, okay? So now that we know some of what the devices can do independently, and we know that a smart device can connect to our app or our phone and will either turn on and off or regulate the temperature, we also need to understand that the thermostat app, for instance, will not be able to control the light bulb. So in order to have control or more devices, such as the example of turning on lights, then playing some music, and then activating something else, that's when we need a command center. This command center can be the smart speakers like Alexa or Google Home, and can also be a hub like the SmartThings hub or Sengold. Hubs usually work in a different way, and they connect to the devices a little bit different, so I will explain that later. But for now, let's focus on Alexa and Google Home. So both smart speakers will need an app, as I said before. In this app, you will add your devices. So once you have your smart devices at home, you will say, I have this light, I have this plug, I have this vacuum cleaner, and you can also specify there how you want to control them. So on your app, you will go and change the dim of the light or create those routines that we mentioned before. So for this reason, we need to choose, or we need to learn how to choose our devices. So this might help us to also define what smart speaker is more beneficial for us. So in this case, what we need to pay attention to are the devices and their compatibility first. So pay attention to those labels that say works with Amazon Alexa, works with Google Assistant. It can be HomeKit, Cortana, and many others. But for now, let's think about Alexa, Google Home, this compatibility. And then you will also have to pay attention to the network protocols. And that is what means our devices are using to communicate. So the devices that I showed you before are mostly Wi-Fi devices, but there are other devices that have Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Z-Wave compatibility. And I have set that little alert sign here because those are the ones that will need the hub that I mentioned before. So how do we do the setup? This will definitely depend on the network protocols on Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Z-Wave. So the first thing we need to make sure when we do home automation is that we have Wi-Fi in our home and that our smartphone or tablet, whichever we will use to set up, is connected to our home Wi-Fi. So most Wi-Fi routers have a dual band. So you will see a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz network. For home automation, most of our devices will be connecting to a 2.4 gigahertz. So that means your phone will also be connected to the 2.4 network. Now, on our previous slides, we were talking about a voice control or smart speaker, and that could be the Echo device, the Google Home, or the Apple HomePod. So for Google Home, you can just download the Google Home app. For the Apple, you will need to download the HomePod or the HomeKit app, but that will mainly work if you have a lot of Apple products in your home. If you're going to have a combination of products, maybe you're going to start to look into either Google Home or Alexa. Now, Alexa is very similar to Google Home, and you can just download the Amazon Alexa app and start setting up devices that have the label that they work with Amazon Alexa. Here, I want to say that you don't necessarily need to have the Google Home or the Echo device to build your smart home. Devices like Google Home or Echo allow for instant voice access to your devices, but you can still go directly on your app and control your devices, like the routine I told you that I use for my wake up morning alarm. Now, these are the first things you need to know when you're controlling devices in your home using the internet. Now, there are different products like those that I mentioned for the Zigbee or Z-Wave, and you will need a different command center. So you may remember I mentioned the hub, such as the SmartThings or the single hub. The SmartThings hub is capable to control Z-Wave or Zigbee compatible devices. And one of the benefits of having a hub is that it does not connect to your Wi-Fi. It will actually need an Ethernet cable that's going to be directly connected to the hub. In the case of the SmartThings hub, you can connect up to 250 devices without slowing down your Wi-Fi. Now, if you decide to go with an Echo Plus or an Echo Show, these devices have a built-in Zigbee hub, so you don't need that additional hub to work with them. Google Home devices, on the other hand, do not have Zigbee or Z-Wave hub built in, so you will need to make sure that your devices are either working with Google Assistant or that you can connect them to a SmartThings and then to Google Home. So let's illustrate examples with those networks. So for today, I'm going to clarify the network protocols specifically with a Wi-Fi smart plug. So the first thing we will need to do is make sure it's Wi-Fi. Then we're going to go and download the smart plug app, and then we will activate it and enable the skill on Alexa. So now we can use our voice to execute commands, and I can then go to my Alexa app and turn on and off the appliance directly. Now, let's say I have a smart light which is Zigbee or Z-Wave compatible. I will first go to the Hubs app and look for my light, and later I will need to go to my Alexa app and add it there too. So it is basically the same process. It is just one more step in between. There are also Wi-Fi lights, of course, so you will not need a light, but I think it is important to mention that some of these devices are only going to be Zigbee or Z-Wave, especially if you're going to go for the cheaper version. So just keep that in mind. So here we see that we can basically operate anything using our voice commands or our phone. But what if we need some extra time to say commands to Alexa, or if we do just better with switches, or even with our keyboard instead of just using our voice? The question would be, can we still use home automation? And the answer is yes. Alexa and Google Home will also allow you to type commands on the app to execute operations. However, when we do better with switches, or if we have difficulties expressing in such a way that Alexa will understand, there's a device like Tecla and the Tecla E app that can help us. Tecla E can access Alexa by using a switch accessible app. So regardless of the switch that you have, as long as it is compatible, you can still connect to up to 20 buttons on the app that you can use for the future. So you can preset all of them there, and it will automatically connect to Alexa. Okay. The other compatibility that Tekla has is the integration with if this then that. I have not mentioned this term just yet, just because it's a higher way to connect devices, especially for routines. Okay. The other one that's compatible with Tekla is Harmony. And Harmony will work with all the infrared devices. So if you have a TV, you can just add that extender of Harmony and you can activate it also now with the Tekla app. So this is very beneficial if we're having also a hard time typing every single thing and we want to have some saved commands for Alexa. So make calls, message a specific contact. That is also very important for us here. Okay. So I hope that with this being said, we learned about how we can control with either switch or voice commands using our phones, etc. What can we control in our homes, many devices and appliances, and we can even have more than one working at the same time. Remember that we need to consider that the devices are either Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, or Z-Wave, as this will determine if we need just a smart speaker or if we need a hub and a smart speaker. And I hope you guys found this useful, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Steve Spawn. I am the Chief Operations Officer of Able Gamers, and I am here today to talk to you about all things people with disabilities and the wonder of video games for the disability community, and on behalf of my good friend Jennifer. Let me start right off the bat with what Able Gamers is. So you may have heard of us. We're often running around the internet doing cool things, trying to raise awareness for people with disabilities. Our mission statement is creating opportunities that enable play in order to combat social isolation, foster inclusive communities, and improve the quality of life for people with disabilities. Now, that is a bunch of fancy lawyer speak for we're basically out here trying to help people have a better life through the power of video games, and we do that in a number of ways. We actually have 5 pillars. One, peer counseling. Peer counseling is my favorite, I will quote unquote say. Although I love them all dearly, we all know we have our favorite child, right? Well, this is mine. Peer counseling is the one where you see the smiling pictures of people with disabilities, young, elderly, in the middle. It doesn't matter if you're a person with disabilities. We're out here to help you and to give you the controllers that you need. But it's not as simple as pulling up and ordering a number 7 off the menu with extra fries. No, peer counseling is something that we take a great pride in. We work for anywhere between 6 to 20 hours per person on the phone, on VoIP, on Skype, on Discord, in Zoom calls, whatever it is we need to do, even in person before COVID, to do peer counseling where we go through what people are dealing with, what their challenges are, what their barriers are, what their hopes, their aspirations, their dreams, what they would like to do in the video gaming space, and then we match the equipment that will help them overcome the barriers to that one by one. And sometimes it's a very complicated process. Sometimes it's a matter of quality of life improvements. Maybe it's a telling about an application that will help you have greater security while you are playing games. Maybe it's not really about the games. Maybe it's about being able to play with your loved ones, your friends, your family, and that's really what makes peer counseling so special to me. We also have our engineering department. Our engineering department has currently 3 different patents. That's 3 different controllers that are out there in the world thanks to Able Gamers and its partners. Amazing new things. You may have saw the video for the adapter that allows you to be able to play with your wheelchair. You just plug it right in to an Xbox, and you're able to use your power wheelchair to operate the joystick just as you would on an Xbox controller. We did that with a wonderful company called AT Makers, and it was a great project, and I'm super proud we were able to help bring that to market. On top of all that, we have our professional development. That is where we actually are helping the video game industry from within. We are training people to be able to use language so that they can communicate better. They can understand each other better so that we can get together and have conversations about accessibility and how it affects people with disabilities. You can see that right now on accessible.games. That's accessible.games. It's a free website that has a class that stands behind it that publishers and developers in the industry pay to take to learn over 3 days how to develop with accessibility in mind. It's an amazing, amazing thing, headed by people who are so smart I can't even fathom having that much brain power personally. I'm just the pretty face, as if you couldn't tell. These people, Chris Power, amazing human being, who just knocks it out of the park every single day, along with the entire professional development, user research department. Just amazing people. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention user research. That is the pillar where we do a bunch of cool things like finding out that there's over 46 million people with disabilities in America alone who need help playing games. And those are statistics we had no idea before. We had a strong suspicion back in the day, but we didn't know. And I think for all of this, it really comes down to personal and individual equality, right? Video games allow you to have that power, to have that ability to stay connected to your community. When I think about how I got involved, it was simply because I wanted to stay connected to my friends. In Pittsburgh here, we have a vocational school called Parkway West. And I had gone to Parkway West and I was playing, around on the computer one day, in between grueling AutoCAD work, and just talking to a friend of mine, and he was talking about how he plays in these amazing virtual worlds that are online 24/7. And I was sort of lamenting how my disability had stopped me from being able to go out and interact and have fun with my friends, at the local clubs or whatever we did when we were 17 years old. And so video games really became my way of staying up with friends and family and hanging out with them. And I wanted to turn that around and give that out to the rest of the world in forms of advice and helping out, because I learned along the way that helping out your community and making something that you believe in stronger, igniting fire in people's souls to make them also want to go out and help others, is so much more rewarding than helping yourself in so many ways. You know, we serve all the people in America, of course, but we are an international charity. Able Gamers is around the world. We've helped everyone from in Australia to Germany and the UK and Canada and Mexico and Brazil. And you have to say it like that too, Brazil. And here in America as well. So it was it was really an amazing watching Able Gamers turn from a blog into this mega international charity. Um, it's difficult to talk about what types of gaming equipment we offer because we aren't a supplying company. We are a humanitarian charity, a disability services charity. I'll let you in on a little bit of a secret. Can I trust you? Okay. Okay. We're not a video game charity. We're about helping people with disabilities. Video games are just the tool that we use to be able to connect friends and family and loved ones, be it if you are disabled or you are not. We're not a video game charity. We're just using video games as an awesome tool to allow people to connect together. Uh, you know, Evaluating systems is quite a question in that it's really about seeing how an individual can interact with the gaming system. For example, Xbox has a lot of cool features from the Xbox One controller, the XAC, as we call it, is something that we were super proud of. I mean, 3.5 years in silence was how long we sat and didn't say anything about this amazing Xbox adaptive controller coming, and it was such a hard secret to keep, but we were able to keep it, and it helped a lot of people. It's not a magic bullet. It doesn't stop you from being attacked by werewolves or anything like that. But it's a controller that can really help for people who might need just a little bit of help pushing a couple extra buttons, or maybe co-pilot mode to be able to play with your more able-bodied friend, or two people with disabilities who have different disabilities. That's always a possibility too. We evaluate systems based on how many options they have. So it's less about the system and more about the games. The more options, the better. When we're talking about people who have the need for, limb control, if you have limited hand movement, if you need to focus on eye movement, there are different controllers for everybody. There are quad sticks. Quad sticks are amazing mouth controllers that you can just move your jaw around in order to play, just as if you were holding an Xbox controller in your hand. There are eye controllers. Although they're not as strong, eye controllers do let you play some games, but not all games. They are getting better as time goes on, though, and technology continues to improve. But there's so many things in between. There's giant controllers that you can put in your lap if you have some kind of movement difficulty in your arm and your bicep. There are so many cool controllers out there. Ones you can use with your feet, and ones you can use with your mouth, and ones you can use with your head. In fact, I'm wearing one right now. The hat on top of my head that you see is actually a controller. It's actually, I can bop my head around here and it controls the computer. And a lot of people think it's just a cool fashion accessory. It is, but it's also functional, and that's what I love about it the most. Um, you know, I think that any presentation like this where I'm talking to a camera, I know it seems like I'm talking to you directly, but I'm actually staring at my camera right now, and I can't see you smiling at me. But I'm sure you've laughed at all my jokes. Don't worry. I feel like the best thing I can do is relay a story at Able Gamers where we were able to help someone out. A long time ago, we were at a fair in New Jersey, and we were showing off some of the new technology that was out at the time for the Xbox One. And it was fun. It was a good time. The problem was that the technology hadn't quite caught up with the disability realm of existence. At the time, there was a device called the Kinect. For those of you who remember what it was where you jumped around the screen and waved at it, and the controller answered you just by seeing your movement. Well, if you were in a wheelchair or if you had some sort of limb difference, then the technology largely ignored you. Super not cool. So, at this particular fair in New Jersey, we had a young gentleman in his, I would say, mid to late teens. Super cool kid with a funny fishing hat that he would wear. But he also had what he called Tyrannosaurus Rex disease. I, to this day, still don't know what the actual name is, only what he told me. But essentially, his arm stopped growing at about the middle of the bicep, where his hand was, where your elbow is now. And so he had very tiny, quote unquote, arms. And it was adorable that he made jokes about, his way of playing, where he would make little dinosaur noises, and we thought it was very cute. But you could tell that he was sad because he wanted to play this game called Fruit Ninja. And if you've never seen Fruit Ninja, it was an amazing video game where you sliced up a bunch of fruit as it came attacking you on the screen. And a lot of people enjoyed it for a very long time. But unfortunately for this young gentleman, it wasn't possible. Well, in this case, what we did in order to help him was we handed him some packing foam from underneath the booth, literally packing foam about 2.5 feet long, like little ninja swords made of foam. We handed it to him, and the Kinect was able to see his arms. He was able to be visible to the controller, and the mom on the side was just in tears as she could see her son finally being able to do something he wanted to do at a very simple and low cost solution. You see, it's not always about the $1,000 equipment. Sure, I can tell you about the $4 or $5 or $6,000 pieces of equipment that we've been able to deploy for some people with disabilities, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes all you really need is some expertise and to have somebody guide you to a solution that works for you. If there is anything that you can think of for video games that you would love to find out from Able Gamers, I suggest you go to ablegamers.org. Check out all of the amazing services we offer. We offer things for individuals to get back into gaming. We offer developer services. We offer sensitivity reading. We are firing up things that I can't even talk to you about because there are literal golden robots in the closet beside me, and they will beat me down if I start talking about anything. Stop staring at me, golden robot. Anyway, so I'm gonna get off now because the robots are now angry that I've awakened them. But I did want to say a shout out to Jennifer for inviting me here today. And hopefully, in all of this rambling, you've learned a little bit about Able Gamers. And if you would like to learn more, I invite you to go check us out on social media. We are Able Gamers everywhere, even things that haven't been invented yet. And I hope to see you sometime on the interwebs. Have a great day, and I wish you all the best in the entire world.
Hello, my name is Bradley Heaven, and today I'm going to be discussing my journey with gaming and tell you guys a bit about the business I started with my now best friend and business partner, Danny. To give you a bit of background on myself, I was born with nonverbal spastic cerebral palsy, but I don't let it hold me back from living life to the fullest. Assistive technology has always been a part of my life. With it, I've managed to graduate college, start a business with Danny, and express myself fully. I started out using two-head switches, hitting my head from side to side to navigate a device called a Dynabox. Currently, I use my eyes to navigate an eye-tracking device from Tobii Dynabox. It used to take me over a minute to spell something like "I love green" on my Dynabox, whereas now, it takes me around 10 seconds. I've prepared this speech in advance and saved it as buttons on my communication device. All I have to do is look at a button and my device will speak out what I previously typed. I'd now like to talk about a topic that I'm extremely passionate about, adaptive gaming. My gaming career was non-existent growing up. I remember I'd just sit there passively watching my friends and siblings play video games such as Banjo and Kazooie, Super Mario Brothers, and many others. I would be cheering them on from the sidelines. I would imagine what it would be like to play myself, to run around freely in a video game, exploring an entirely new universe and interacting with other players online, or take on the role of one of my favorite superheroes and have special powers. I knew there was no way I'd ever be able to play using the standard controls or on a mouse and keyboard, so these remain part of my imagination. However, I knew I was a gamer at heart, and it saddened me that I wasn't able to participate. Sure, there were some basic games on some of my AAC devices that I could play, but nothing compared to the mainstream games that my friends and family were playing. When I began using an eye-tracking AAC device, I got my first taste of gaming. The easiest way to explain eye tracking is that my eyes are the mouse. There was a game called Beat Shot that was basically an accuracy game where you had to shoot targets with your eyes. I would constantly try to beat my high score. I would also challenge others to use my eye tracker and try to beat my score, but no one could. Ha ha. After this, I started experimenting with other games like World of Warcraft and other exploring type games. I had a lot of success, and I was able to play these games autonomously using my eyes. Danny and I would often meet up online and go on adventures together. In May 2018, I started hearing talk of this new controller Microsoft was creating called the Xbox Adaptive Controller. I absolutely love how a company as big as Microsoft created a product like this that is designed for gamers with disabilities. To quickly explain how it works, the controller itself has 2 large programmable buttons and 19 jacks that could be connected to a range of accessories to make Xbox and PC gaming far more accessible. In my specific case, since I have spastic cerebral palsy and don't have full control over my muscles, I'm most comfortable using 2 head switches to play games. Now you might be wondering how on earth I'm playing mainstream video games using only 2 buttons. Danny and I play together as one controller thanks to Microsoft's Copilot accessibility feature. This feature allows 2 controllers to act as one. So, Danny controls 17 out of the 19 buttons, and I control the other 2, and together we play as a team. Danny always makes the 2 buttons I control the most crucial buttons in any game we play. For example, in a soccer game, my 2 head switches will be pass and shoot. In a driving game, they will turn the car left and right. The possibilities are endless. I've prepared a gameplay montage for you so you can see the amount of joy gaming has on my life. Enjoy it.
It has to be one of these 2. Come on. Open! Oh! Take over. Where is he? Which way is he coming in? Which way? Oh, he's coming in that way! I didn't know which way he was coming. I didn't want to run right into him. Oh, coming for you. Oh, there we go. First round goes to me. Yeah. Oh, he's causing a distraction? He's causing a distraction, guys. I can't believe anything he does now. He tries to distract me. Oh, what you got? What you got? What are you gonna do? Oh! Guys, we got another fresh set of matches. May the best man win, buddy. Okay. I'll fix it. Hey! Oh! You got me in the sleep. Oh, okay. You're talking smack. He's talking smack there, man. Oh! You get this point, you win. Come here. Oh, you see how I waited for you there when you got close? Yeah. Oh, guess who's making a comeback? Come here. Next point wins, buddy. May the best man win this point. You come at me here. Oh, that's what? Oh, you took it. You took it. Oh, you hit the post. Oh my God! What a shot.
Unbeatable.
Okay, bud. Oh, nice try. You got a little bit more juice on it than that. Oh, yes! Oh, just missed! Just wide! That was close, bud. Here we go. This is all you. Oh, what a save! Okay, I'm going left. Okay, it's on you. Oh, you sailed it! Okay, bud. Oh! Wide again. You're getting close now. Okay, bud, get ready. Now. Yeah! Yes! Yes! Yeah! There you go, bud. Rooney too. Yes. It's a goal.
As you can see, adaptive gaming has opened up a whole new world for me. Danny and I showcase our gaming sessions and review adaptive products on our YouTube channel called All Access Life. I encourage you to go and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the life-changing adaptive products coming out. When we aren't filming videos for YouTube, we are doing research on all the latest adaptive resources coming out and adding them to our website www.allaccesslife.org. The first ever one-stop shop for accessibility. I'd recommend you have a quick look. I'm sure you'll find plenty of adaptive products, assistive technologies, apps and other resources you didn't know existed. Danny and I have huge plans this year. We are running a marathon on October 17th, selling hats that I designed the No Limits logo using my eyes, writing a book and overall taking All Access Life to new heights. I'm going to move mountains in this lifetime, and I want to showcase to others that everyone has the potential in them.